So today what we will be doing in previous sessions we have learned about how to install Burpsuit and how to configure Burpsuit to work with our browsers, like be it Chrome browser or be it Firefox browser. We have configured the Burpsuit tool to work with those browsers in past. Now what we'll be doing, we'll be going through the Burpsuit interface. First of all, just learn a little bit about it. I'm not going to go much in detail as of now. We will be covering only the basics. Then we'll be learning how you can define a scope. What do we mean by scope is, suppose in your browser you are going through 4 or 5 different websites, okay, but what you want to be, you want to only see the request or responses related to a particular site only, because if you look at all the data that is being sent to all 4 or 5 websites, it's going to be confusing. So that's why we define a scope. So what Burpsuit will do, it will only keep the data related to a particular site only in the scope. So that's what it is going to do. And then the third point, we will be discussing about the proxy tab. It's a particular section in Burpsuit only. So we'll be discussing what are the options that we can utilize from that particular functionality. And then uh, if we have enough time, we will be going through the repeater. Otherwise, we'll be discussing it in the next session. So let's start with Burpsuit interface explanation. What I'm doing right now is, on tryhackme, I'm just referring to one of the rooms. Okay, so I will again show you how you can find the same room. So on your tryhackme dashboard, just click on the learn button and here click on the search and then search for Burpsuit. Okay, now you'll find plenty of rooms here related to Burpsuit only. The first one, that is the major one, it's actually a paid one. So when you try to access it, you will see that you have to subscribe to get access to this particular room. So we are not referring to this one as of now. If in case you guys have VIP subscription, you can definitely check out this one, because a lot of functionality is defined, like explained here in a much better way. So in case you have the VIP subscription, you can use that. But what we will be doing, we will be accessing the second one, that is Burpsuit the basics. So let's open this one, and we have different sections here, like from the beginning itself, what is Burpsuit and how you install it and all these kind of things. I'm not going to go into each and every one. I'm only going to discuss whatever is required as of now. So we have already discussed about the installation part in past sessions. So now what I will do, I will be moving on to the dashboard part of Burpsuit. So just understanding how the interface of Burpsuit works like. So what I will do, I will close. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to access my Burpsuit. We have already installed it. So we have the community version, not the pro version. So we'll be referring to this one only. And once you access it, you are just supposed to click on next and start Burps. And then we will go through the interface. So as soon as you start Burpsuit, okay, you will be directly in the dashboard section of your Burpsuit. And here you can see here as well, it is explained that what every section of Burpsuit means. Okay, so this first, there are 4 sections, you can see 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the first section actually is a live task. Okay, you can say, which will be showing here. You can see that it is a live passive crawl. What live passive crawl means, whatever sites you are going through, okay, in your in the browser that is configured to work with Burpsuit, all of that will be, all that data will be stored. Okay, we will see how, where exactly it is shown. It will be shown under the proxy tab actually, but we will see that. But that is passive. Passive means we are not, whatever passively means in the backend only, you can understand from that perspective. So it's not active. Whatever we are doing on our browser, it will only store those requests in the Burpsuit. Okay, so that is on actually. And as we start going through different website, the count will start increasing here, like how many requests or responses it has captured. Okay, so that is one thing. Just for the knowledge perspective, there is one thing that comes with the Burpsuit professional version, that is active scan. Okay, it is part of professional version only. So what you can do, you can scan a particular website actively by sending like different kind of requests, and it what that scan will do, it will try to find out different bugs or vulnerabilities, if you want to say. It will try to find those bugs automatically, okay, but that doesn't come with community version. But in case you have pro version, and if you start an active scan, you will see that scan right here under the first section only. So that's the scans tab or part of the dashboard, you can say, okay, or it's called actually a task menu. That's what it's called right now. Now the second part here is the event logs. So whatever is going on, okay, whatever kind of scans and everything is going on, details about those events and all those things, that will be shown here under the event log only. So right now you can see it's kind of logs that we get from different, like even if you are running a Apache server and all those things, logs means it will contain everything what this tool is doing. So the only log that we see right now, that it is running a proxy on this particular address, okay, that we configure normally with our browser, so that that browser will send all the requests to this Burpsuit tool. So that's the log. Now we discussed about active scan that comes with pro version. Apart from that also, uh, Burp should also find some of the common bugs or vulnerabilities passively also, passively as well. So like if looking at a request, it sees that some of the best practices are missing. For example, we have not discussed about HTTP only or secure flags on cookies, but these kind of basic configurations, if these are missing, the Burpsuit is going to reflect all of those here. And if you run an active scan with Burpsuit Pro, if it finds any bug or vulnerabilities, that is also will be shown here only in the it is called issue activity. So here you will see all of those bugs or vulnerabilities. And when you click on any one of these, okay, if there is any information about that bug, that will be shown under the fourth section. So like what is the bug, a bit detail about that particular bug, what was the request sent to uh, figure out that particular bug, okay. So these kind of things about that particular vulnerability, more details will be found under the fourth section whenever you select a particular one, okay. So that's how the dashboard section is. So yeah, in case you have any issues like understanding something, but yeah, so far it's straightforward only. We will see right now, we didn't started using it. Once we start using it, you will understand a bit better, okay. So now we have covered the Burpsuit interface, a little bit about the dashboard section only. Now here, if you refer to this tryhackme room only, you have a navigation section as well. So there are different tabs in Burpsuit only, right? We have dashboard, target, proxy, intruder. So each and every tab have a different functionality or a different configuration that you can do. Okay. Now we just in case you want to use these shortcuts, it's good because like most of the time you will have to go back and forth between these different tabs, okay. So for the most common ones, we have the shortcuts, like for dashboard you have control shift D, for target, right, this target you have control shift T, proxy control shift P, intruder control shift I, and repeater control shift R, okay. You can also configure shortcuts in Burpsuit, but we are just focusing on the default ones. So see, suppose I want to go to intruder without my mouse, without using my mouse, then what I can do, I can press Control Shift I and it will directly go to intruder. So it's handy sometimes to know these shortcuts because it will save you like just some manual efforts, that's all. So yeah, these shortcuts also you can use. And now what we'll do, this is navigations. Now what we'll do, we will be just we have options as well. We are not going to cover this part because it gets a bit complicated. As of now we are not going to cover it, but what options it's talking about, it's talking about the user options here. So one basic use I will tell you that would be useful for you. So under user options you have a display tab. In display tab you can always mention your font size. So if I make it 15, okay, your the default font size on your burp suite will increase actually. And but it is going to increase the default size of all these, that is like in the software only, but these requests size, okay, it will uh, increase once you restart your burp suite. Okay, so that one option is there just to increase the size for better visibility. Also you have a theme, so if I make it dark for better, like just in case you are using it at night, so you can make it dark as well. I prefer dark, but for right now I will stick to the light version as well. And now we have also this category is there as well, so in case you want to change it, that also you can do. So right now, see, this is the HTTP message size. This is the default interface size we have set to 15. That's why we can see everything in a big font. But here, right now, we discuss this part. So under the, like when you click on any of the issues, these are not the actual issues, just examples. But here under the request, you can see it's very small. It's not that visible. So to increase that part, you have to increase the font size under the HTTP message display. So if you change it from here, and now you can see that the size is a bit bigger. Okay, so two font sizes are there. Okay, rest of the things we are not going to worry about as of now. It's not that useful. So yeah, that's what option I just wanted to mention, because it's handy when you are starting to use Burpsuit. For better visibility you can utilize it. Okay, now let's get back to our dashboard. The second point that we are going to discuss is how you can define a scope. Okay, so I already told you guys what is a scope. For example, you are scanning 5 websites and you want to focus on the request and responses related to a particular website only, then you have to define a scope. Okay, if you do not define the scope, it's going to uh, keep it will store all the requests and all the response belonging to all the websites. Okay, so now let's move on to the target section. For the time being, you don't see anything here because uh, we have not started going through any website as of now. Okay, so here you have sitemap, scope we will be defining here actually. Then you have issues definition. So when you say issue, it's kind of bug or vulnerability. So all the common bugs definitions are written here actually. So OS command injection, SQL injection, all these, a bit detail about these are here. Also if you want to read more about it, you can go to these references as well. Okay, so just what are different kind of bugs normally found. Okay, so all these details are here in case you want to. A lot of these are there actually, so you can read from here as well, but we'll not go into that. So we have to configure a scope. Okay, so I will explain why do we need to configure the scope. uh, so what I will do, we are not going to configure our, like this browser to work with the Burpsuit, because if I do so, our what you say, our meeting will get disconnected. Actually, it happened last time because everything will be going through Burpsuit, and because of some misconfiguration, it will get disconnected for the time being. So what I will do in Burpsuit itself, in the latest versions, okay, like 2021 versions, you if you go to proxy and there is a embedded browser. So here we have an embedded browser. What it means, that if you start the browser from here only, it will be automatically configured to work with Burpsuit actually. So you don't have to configure or like change your proxy settings that we discussed last time. You don't have to do it. It will directly work. So if I click on open browser, it's going to start another Chrome browser, but that will be configured to work with Burpsuit by default. You just click on OK. Sometimes it gives that error, but still it will open a new browser. So this Chromium one, it is supposed to work automatically with Burpsuit. Okay, now see, there is a intercept is off. We will discuss it later on, but for the time being just keep it as off only and go to HTTP history. Now see, if I try to access a particular website here, like this is testphp.vulnerweb.com, what you see that there is a request, a get request sent to this slash, means root of the URL for this particular website. Then there are some other requests. Even though we are not sending these requests, it's coming. Why? Because this Chromium also it is sending some of the requests in the backend. So these requests you are seeing under the proxy and HTTP history. Now see what I will do. I will try to access google.com as well. Once you access that, you can see google.com access, and then a lot of requests related to google.com only you can see here. And let's see if we can access facebook.com as well. So when you access facebook.com, you can see facebook.com request, a lot of requests generated by Facebook only. These all requests, these are not like, even though you don't see facebook.com here, but these are actually generated by this page only in the backend. So now you have like 61 requests actually here. Now suppose this particular website we discussed about, this one, this is a testing website only for security vulnerabilities. There are a lot of bugs here, but for the time being we will just reference it to understand the functionality of Burpsuit. So suppose we want to only focus on the requests that is related to testphp.oneweb.com, okay, because that's what is you can say that's the main website you want to target, okay. You do not want to focus on other requests generated by Google or Facebook and all these, okay. So how you can do it? That's why we define the scope. So to define the scope, you go to target. Here also see, earlier we didn't have any data here, but right now you can see that under the target sitemap you can see the different websites and the sitemap. What does sitemap means? Like just the kind of navigation of a particular website. So if we talk about test php.web, you can see these are the folders on this particular website and these are the different files, okay. So like index.php, login.php. So how this data is being uh, populated here? It is because of the passive scanning under the dashboard. So it is on, that's why you are able to see all of this data here. Also you can see here that 69 responses processed, right? So all this data will get populated once you are going through some websites. Now what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to focus on this particular website only. So we are going to define the scope. How you can do it? In normal way, what you can do it, the main request, okay, all the requests you will for this particular, right now because we have clicked on this website only, you see all the requests related to this particular website only, okay. If I click on google.com, you will see requests related to google.com only. Facebook.com, all the requests related to for facebook.com only. But now this is from like target section, but we have not defined any scope yet. What you can do, if you want to add a scope from here as well, okay, from this target section as well, under from the sitemap functionality as well, you can right click and click on add to scope. What that will do, that it will add this particular URL to the scope only, okay. But make sure you are running it on the main URL where you have a slash. What it means, that that's the main URL. If you run it on this one where you have the URL something like this is the domain, then slash ajax.index.php, that URL will get added to the scope. What it means, that anything related to that whole URL will be stored only, rest will be ignored. So even if you are going to test php.oneweb.com/cart.php, it will be ignored because in the scope you are saying this URL only. So that's why anything that anything that comes after this slash, right, that should be added into our results. That's why we are going to add this particular like main website where we have a slash, that only we want to add into the scope. That's one thing. You can directly do it from here, or you also can do it from proxy tab and http history. Here also we have the same request, right, test php web, and then the main URL was slash, that was the root. Here also you can click on add to scope, okay. So I will show you. If you click on that, what will happen, it will ask you if you want to stop getting data from out of the scope items. So we will say yes, we do not want any data related to out of the scope, so we'll click on yes. You can click on no as well, but it doesn't matter here. Actually we have to make another configuration to make sure it doesn't even calculate the data related to other domains. So right now I will show you where, now that we have added into the scope, where will you be able to see it. So again, if you go to target and go to scope, you can see that under the included in the scope, you can see there is a URL, okay. If you select it and click on edit, you can see this is the URL. So now what it means, that I will copy it. Now what it means is, in your this browser, if you try to access a particular request like test.php, you have added this part in your scope, right, this first part you have added in scope. Now if you try to access test.php, or suppose it is login.php, all these requests will be added into your what you say in your Burpsuit history. Why? Because you have mentioned that as a prefix you have mentioned that if the URL is this, okay, prefix means whatever comes before. So whatever, wherever you have this part as a prefix in the URL, it is going to store it. Okay, so now what I will do, I was just trying to show you how, where exactly it is shown, but for the time being what we will do, we will remove it from here. I will show you another way of adding a scope. So how you can do it, you can copy the URL from the URL itself, whatever you want to add, copy it and then directly come to target scope and paste the URL. So that is also the same thing. Okay, so now what it will do, it will capture everything related to this website. Okay, so that's another way. And now let's see what is the impact of it. Okay, so now if we go to our proxy section, now here it is saying logging of out of the scope proxy traffic is disabled right now, so it's not logging anything related to other domains. Okay, but let's see whether that is true or not. So let's try to access google.com, and right now it is not logging, right? Even though we access google.com, it is not showing that request. But if you re-enable it, okay, and now if you try to reload the google.com again, you will see that all the requests related to google.com is being shown here. Okay, so that is the impact of it. When we clicked on that yes part, that's what it did. It was not even storing results under the http history. So that's one use of it. There is another better option here. If you click on this filter row only, okay, there is a filtering option. If you click left click and if you select this option that show only in scope items, what it will do, it will apply the filter that we have in our scope. So all the URLs related to test PHP. Yeah, yeah, so that's what I'm saying. This line right here, this line, focus on my mouse. When you left click on it, it is automatically opening filter setting. So you have a filter. Okay, so when you click on show only in scope items, okay, leave the rest for the time being. We'll later on go through the others as well. But if you want to see only the in scope URLs, when I say in scope URLs, we have mentioned this one, this URL as our in scope. When you click on that option and click apply, you will see that you have only one URL now. Why? Because we access one URL only on that particular website. What will happen now if I try to access C? If I try to access slash or not manually, if I try to access different functionality on this website only, like home, you can see that when we clicked on home, it accessed slash index.php. You can see that here. Okay, but if in parallel, if I try to access google.com, it's not going to show it here. Why? Because that is not in scope. Also, if I click on other functionalities as well, you will see all the requests that is starting with testphp.oneweb.com, because we have mentioned that whatever URL starts with this, that should be considered as in scope. So if I click on all these functionalities, because all these URLs starts with this particular our in scope item, right, all these requests will be captured and shown here. Okay, and now if I click here and if I want to see other requests as well, I can uncheck apply again. You will see that all the requests that was sent earlier as well, you see your in scope items here as well, like everything will be logged, but you see other requests as well. Okay, so that's how you can utilize. Most of the time when someone asks you to find a bug in a particular website only, what you should be doing first is add that particular website in your scope, so that by mistake you do not like perform or like by mistake you are not trying to find a bug on a wrong website. Okay, and if you are looking at only in scope items, it's better for you to like focus on only on those things. So I will again check it. Now we'll be only focusing on in scope items. So yeah, that's how you can define a scope, and that's how you can apply filter to focus on the request or yeah, request that is in scope only. Okay, using this filtering option you can do that. And again, if I go to target, here is we have what here is we have defined the scope. If you go to under the target only sitemap, here also still you are seeing all these items, right? All the website, other website as well. Here also you have the filter option. If you click here, and if you tell it to show me only the websites related to my scope, so you can again click here as well, apply. What it will do, it will show you testphp.com only in the sitemap, because that's the only website that is in scope. And here, by clicking here, you can see what are the different folders or files and all these things. Okay, we will later on go more in detail how you can utilize it further, but for the time being, just understand that you have the sitemap here, and by clicking this option and applying, you can only focus on a website that is in scope. Okay, so now let's discuss our third point, how we can utilize this proxy tab. We have covered a lot of part from this particular tab already. So HTTP history under the proxy tab. Okay, under the proxy tab, HTTP history, we already have seen that all the request, or by HTTP history it means whatever request was sent in past or like right now as well, all those requests you would be able to see here. Here you have a filter option that you can apply different filters to make sure that you only see particular files only. Okay, one more thing I can show you here, that is, if you want to only focus on a particular extension. Okay, right now, for see, you have this PHP extension for all of these URLs, right? If you want to only focus on PHP files, what you can do, simply clicking here, show only, you can click, and yeah, by default there are already other extensions, but I only want to focus on PHP, so I will remove others and I will click on apply. See, only one request that was there without any extension, that got removed here from here. Okay, so similarly, sometimes you won't be required to focus on JPG files or like PNG files. Okay, image files you are not focusing on, so that in that case you can utilize the show only or hide functionality. Okay, like if you want to hide all the images like ending with JPG, PNG or CSS files or zip files, okay, you can click on hide and click on apply. Right now, because we didn't have any of the images, that's why we see all the requests, because none of the images belongs to any image or any JS extension. Okay, so that's why we see all the files. So using this part, you can apply different filters. Then we have a WebSocket. It's not that useful, like a bit advanced, but whenever some socket requests are generated by a website, those you will be seeing here. Okay, but right now our this in scope website is not generating any of the socket request. Okay, here also you have the same option. By clicking here under the filter, you can focus on only in scope WebSocket request. Okay, and under the options, you can see this is the proxy listener or proxy address that we used last time to configure any other browser. Like if we are not using the embedded browser, we can configure Firefox or any other browser as well to 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 make sure that it is sending all the requests to Burpsuit by configuring this address in its proxy section. Okay, in Chrome or Firefox, if you go to proxy section and give this address in proxy, all the requests that Firefox or Chrome is trying to send, okay, like trying to access on browser, that will be sent to Burpsuit. So this is what it is. One thing that you should be checking here is intercept client request. There is a by default option here that only intercept request that is in scope. By default it is not checked. uh, I told you guys earlier that when you suppose whenever you right click and add item to scope, right, then we had yes or no. It was saying that if you click on yes, it will only intercept, or like it will only show you request that it belongs to that particular scope. But sometimes it still tries to intercept requests that belongs to other domains, so that's why you should check this part as well. So what it will do, it will only focus on, like it will only intercept request that is in your scope only. Okay, so you can check that part. Okay, so that's all as of now. We will be going through other options later on, but for the timing, that's enough. So yeah, that's all about the proxy tab. Any doubts regarding this part? Okay, fine. Yeah, one thing I missed here is we didn't go through the intercept one. Okay, So let's go through this one. We only already discussed about what is the embedded browser. So whenever you use it, it whatever you are accessing on the browser, that will be sent to this Burpsuit, because it is generated by your Burpsuit tool only. You can click either here or on this button. Okay. Now what is this intercept is off or not? Okay. What is intercept? Intercept means blocking something. Okay. Like we have interceptor cars, right, on highway, so those means like blocking someone who is not following the rules and things like that. So similarly you can understand from that terminology itself that it is used to intercept requests before it is being sent to the main server. So this, like, why do we exactly need proxy? These part we have discussed already, but now let's see in action how you can intercept a request. So suppose here on this website, right, when you click on sign up, you get redirected to this login page. By default, it only already it is saying that what is the username and password. Okay, that is test and test. And here what I will do, I will clear our history. Okay, under proxy I will clear, right click, clear our history, so that we see everything new. Okay, and now again I go back to yeah, let's look at the HTTP history as of now only. So now see, if I try to log in with test and test, okay, tst, click on login, you can see there is a post method. We have discussed about these HTTP methods already. In post methods you send some data, right? So here if you see, I will maximize, this is a post request being sent to this URL endpoint and on this particular website. And in the post body you can see that username is being sent as test, also password is being sent as test, right? We have two parameters that is being sent to this particular endpoint, and the server is responding like these are the response headers, right, we discussed earlier. And this is the HTML body, like the code for the page that will be returned whenever you log in. So this is the code for this particular page. Okay, right now if you try to search John Smith here in this HTML code utilizing this search functionality, you can see this is the HTML code actually, and this is how the browser is rendering all of this HTML code. You also have an option, sometimes it doesn't work properly, but you have an option to render this. Render means like uh, find out the equivalent browser version of this HTML code by clicking on render. So when you click on that part, you can see the corresponding, like how, if browser is going to render all that code, how it's going to look. Sometimes it doesn't work properly, but yeah, this is a simple website, so it's showing you properly here. So this is your normal, these are the response headers, this is the status code we discussed already. 200 okay means the your login credentials were fine. This is the HTTP status code actually. And yeah, these are response headers, and this is your response body or HTML code that will be written whenever you log in. So yeah, this is what it is. Now suppose I will again log out from here. Where is it? Just a moment. Yeah, logout is here. So I have logged out. I again go back to my sign up option. But when we entered using test and test, right, we only saw that request directly here, right? That post request was sent to this particular endpoint, but we were not able to exactly intercept the request. We can see it, but we actually didn't modify that request. Like what we can do using this Burpsuit or any proxy tool, you can, before the request is being sent to the server, website server, we can make changes to that request. Okay, from here what I can, only thing I can change is the username and password, but what if I want to change other things as well? So to do that, like to make changes in the request that is being sent, you can utilize any proxy tool. One of these is proxy, this Burpsuit only. And for, if you want to intercept, what you have to do, you have to go to proxy intercept and you have to turn the intercept on. Now let's see what happens when we try to log in. So now what will happen, every request that is going to be sent to server, that will be intercepted by Burpsuit. Okay, once you tell Burpsuit to forward this request to server, then only it will go forward. Okay, so let's see how it's done. So we have already turned on our intercept, and let's try to log in with test and test again. Now when you click on login, see, it is moving, means there is no response yet. Why? because that request is actually pending with Burpsuit. Here you can see the request that a post is being made, right? We already discussed what this request is, but it is pending with Burpsuit right now. It is not sent to the server. Until unless I forward this request, it won't go to server, and server won't be able to identify whether the username and password is valid or not. Until unless it verifies whether we are a valid user or not, it's not going to return, like, forward us to that profile page, right? So see, if I drop this request, drop means like do not forward, what will happen? If I drop this request, you can see that nothing happened, like there was an error from the server side that the request is not accepted, or like there is no response because the request that was being sent, we dropped it, we didn't forward it. So that's why you get an error. Now let's go back. Let's try to again log in with test. Click on login. Again you see, you intercept the request. Now if I forward the request, what happens? You can, you are logged in, okay, and you see, because in the response we got the HTML code. Once server verifies we were valid user, the server responded with the HTML code of this whole page, right? Now why didn't we see that response here in the Burpsuit? Okay, why we were only able to see the request that we were sending to the server but not the response? There is one thing, by default Burpsuit doesn't intercept the responses, okay, like this is the response I'm talking about, right? This is the response, no, not this one, yeah, this was our request and this was our whole response. Why Burpsuit didn't show us the response in the intercept only? Because by default it doesn't intercept the responses, okay. Request, it will intercept when you turn it on from here, but by default it's not going to intercept responses. How you can intercept response? Let's see again. For the timing, what I will do, I do not want to intercept the request that is being generated whenever you are clicking on logout button, so I will turn off the intercept off, okay, and I will log out. So these, now that you see, right, when I clicked on logout, it didn't intercept anything here, but I will again turn on the intercept. Not here, I will first go to the login screen, then I will turn it on. So now we are on login screen, I will turn it on. I will again log in with test. Login, you can see the intercepted request. Now if you want to see the response as well for this request here only in the interceptor, what you can do, you can right click, you can go to do intercept and response to this request. So what it will do, it will intercept the response as well and it will show you here how. Let me select this option. Now if I forward this request will be sent to server. Server will process this request, and server is, if our username and password is valid, it is going to return the HTML code for the next page, right? That profile page it is going to return, but that page it is going to return to Burpsuit actually, okay. So that response we will see in the Burpsuit first, and once from Burpsuit we forward it, that will be reached to browser. So this whole flow we have already discussed earlier, so I'm not going much in detail, but right now we have selected that option to intercept the response. If I forward it, now that you see that there is a response from that particular URL, and this is the whole response. Now here also if I drop this response, okay, if I drop it, what it means, that that response won't be forwarded to browser, and in that case browser is not going to throw you an error that nothing received or something like that, okay. But if I see, still this page is still loading. Why? Because earlier we intercepted the request, right? We forwarded it to server and server responded with the this whole thing, right, this whole code, but still we have not forwarded this part to browser. That's why it is still loading. Now if I click on forward, you see that the page is loaded successfully. So in brief, we have earlier as well we have discussed that how it works, that your browser tries to load a website, right, or a particular page on a website. It is sent to your proxy tool or your Burpsuit, okay. Burpsuit is going to intercept that request, and then if you click on forward button, it will be sent to website server. Once website server is sending, like once it processes that request and it sends a response, website server, okay, it is going to send you response, but that response will be, if you are intercepting the response using Burpsuit, it will be intercepted by Burpsuit, and it is holding on the burp suit. And now if you click on forward button, that will be sent to browser. Once you send that response to browser, then only the browser would be able to access that particular website. Okay, so this part we have discussed in past, but yeah, just wanted to clarify here as well. So yeah, that's all about this part, how you can utilize the whole proxy tab. Okay, we discussed about intercept, what we have under http history, WebSocket history, and options as well. This option we should be utilizing whenever you can. Okay, in case you do not want to intercept requests that is out of scope. So yeah, that's all about it.